everybody. Welcome back. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records, and today on Dat Fury Radio, Drew's back with one more album, Earth Energies. And we're going to kick things off with Russian Woodpecker. What's going on, Drew?
Sun's going down, the bugs are coming out.
Yep. Over the past 3 weeks, we've tracked your whole evening adventure here.
That's right, yeah. At least it's not too sweaty.
Yeah. We listened to Mystic Places 2 weeks ago. Talked about that. Go back and check it out if you haven't heard. What makes Earth Energies different?
Yeah, I guess this just felt like a different group of songs. A lot of these are things that I created within the same time period. They just had a different feeling to them. They're more raw and noise-based. Atonal. A lot of them are, let me think here. Two of the pieces on this album are actually studio versions of live performances that I did in 2023 and 2024. So I'd kind of come up with an idea of like a setup that I could play and do a whole 20 or 30 minute set with. I just kind of come up with a general idea of what I wanted to try and accomplish, the overall arc of the performance, and then I do a test run and record it usually a day or two before the actual show, and then I just go and perform it. Those things, concept to performance, usually came together in just a matter of a few days. I don't know. I just kind of intuitively put together a few pieces of gear that I thought might talk to each other in an interesting way, and then just see what they gave me. I'm trying to remember what led to this one. The first and last tracks on this album are from around the same time, from kind of the same setup. I split them up into separate pieces because I thought they'd just the album as a whole would just play together better if I just did it that way. But this is some loops that I built up using self-oscillating fuzz pedal, Catalan bred Antichthon. People who know Greek mythology well probably know that I misspelled that or mispronounced that name, but I don't know how to say
I've
it.
always struggled to know how to pronounce that.
Antichthon. Yeah, it's a I don't know if it's like a voltage starved circuit or how it works, but the internal transistors just like chirp and make these demented cricket sounds. So yeah, I just kind of played with that through some looping pedals and just kind of built up layers. And I ended up with this sound field that just has this really assaulting kind of sound that for some reason works okay if you just let it play. I don't know. It doesn't get super annoying. So, and I got the title from it because there's this old massive Soviet radar array that was active during the Cold War. It was, I think it was a missile defense system that was like so massive and powerful that it just broadcast this noise signal that would it would pollute shortwave radios all the way across the world. And it was just this sonic signature that sounded kind of like this chirpy sound. And so that's what it's named after, the Russian woodpecker.
That's what they called the installation?
That was the sound attributed to this massive Soviet missile defense radar system.
If you heard it interfering with your radio, you'd call it the Russian woodpecker.
Right, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize that was the Antich-thon. I thought it was one of those instruments like with the game pieces that you talked about when we listened to Mystic Places.
Nah, it's Antich-thon. And then the landscape stereo field is in the signal path. It's in the signal path, but most of the sound that you're hearing is from that pedal.
Okay.
And then I think I had the Soma ether going into the other input of the stereo field, and it was kind of just adding some background static. I think that setup went into a performance that I did at Farewell in Kansas City, up by the stadiums.
And we're gonna do so. Earth Energies has the Russian woodpecker and 3 long form pieces. We're gonna do one of them. We're gonna do Electromagnetic Cauldron.
Yeah, so all these pieces just kind of are just pure raw energy, and I thought this would be a good entry for my Mysteries of the Unknown series under the Earth Energies book cover. And I put out the record on the summer solstice, which is, of course, a significant occurrence for Stonehenge enthusiasts. Yeah, I don't know. It just all came together. With an appropriate synchronicity.
I just like that the days are getting shorter, and I feel I can tell myself that fall is coming.
I like it when the days are getting longer. I don't know what psychological condition that indicates. I prefer this. I like the time of year when the days are getting longer for some reason. I don't think I actually performed this stuff live. This was just, I had some things set up, and I had a pretty interesting patch going, so I hit record. You're hearing in the background is like, I don't know, it's some sound bed. I think it's a self-oscillating delay pedal that's then going into a vinyl simulator pedal. So that's why you're getting that pitch wobble. that's where that texture's coming from. And then there's more mini brute. You can hear those arpeggios. Eventually you're going to hear these like crackling sounds. They're coming from a stutter pedal, like a glitch pedal. It's a King of Gear mini glitch pedal. It's a pedal version of the Johnny Greenwood Max MSP algorithm that he used for some of his glitch and stutter effects on like Kid A and Amnesiac. But I noticed that when it's mainly as a guitar pedal, but I noticed that if I plug a synthesizer in it, there's something about the signal level or the impedance going into there that like just creates this audible click whenever the audio regenerates and triggers again. And it was kind of bugging me at first, but then I realized it just had this really bright, raw, gritty quality, and I just kind of decided to embrace it. You'll start to hear it eventually, but yeah, I just thought the whole thing sounded like a bubbling witch's cauldron if it was just like full of electromagnetic energy. That's why it's called electromagnetic cauldron. This was all done. This is just one stereo capture off of my mixing board. I didn't go back and overdub anything. It's all just one live improvised exploration. Yeah, here's where the clicks come in. I don't get that kind of harsh clickiness when I got a guitar plugged into it and it's going into an amp. It's really pronounced when I've got a synth going into it, and then it's just basically DI'd into my mixing board. Yeah, bubbling and swirling static electricity.
I'm not sure if it's the artwork or the song titles or what, but it really does create an atmosphere, I think. And I mean, it's interesting to hear. Yeah, I didn't know a lot of the details about the process behind these records, and it's interesting to hear how much the process is pretty similar to Night Mode stuff we've done before, because to my ears, they're kind of quite different sounding in a really cool and interesting way than previous Night Mode stuff.
Yeah, well, it is basically the same process I've always used. It's just over time I've actually learned what all the knobs and buttons do. Whereas when we started, I didn't know what any of them did. So it was but I'm still trying to go into it with like no pretension of like that I'm going to get a song out of it. I'm just creating textures and just going in with no expectations and no particular mission and just having fun. I mean, it's getting dark out here.
Yeah.
Got a nice sunset, though. Pretty good sunset.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so that high-pitched sound, kind of like a internet dial tone. That's the no coast. It has a crazy pitch range. It'll go really, really high pitched or just extreme sub frequencies. So on the no control that goes with it, you can program in 8 steps that have different control voltage outputs, and I had one of the CV outs on each step controlling pitch. And then I think I had another CV patched into one of the other parameters on the voice. I can't remember what I was controlling, but I was just tapping different steps on the sequencer to get pitch and timbre changes. I like those random chatter sounds from that pedal.
Yeah, they play nicely with the field recordings and kind of bridge the I don't want to say the musical with the natural, you know, but the instruments with the outside kind of sounds a little outsidey with the randomness. This is real. I mean, I find myself getting kind of drawn into it now, even, which feels great and says something really good about the music. I think I hope it makes for okay pod. But these pieces on Earth Energies are really conducive to a deep listen, I think.
Yeah.
Really great to get into.
I was going for just zone out, mind eraser kind of music.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just kind of happen upon an interesting sound field, and it's important to just let it do its thing and kind of let it breathe.
Yeah.
Just feel thankful that you found it. I on this particular one, I kind of do remember what I was doing for some reason. Maybe I could recreate it, but I'm just glad that I had my computer turned on and ready to go.
Yeah, with stuff like this, when you find the right one, it feels pretty obvious, I think, a lot of times. Yeah. Even if to someone else it might, you know, you might do 3 takes of this and they seem indistinguishable, but one just feels right, you know, and a lot of times it's the first one, you know, sometimes it's the second or the third or just the first one on a different day.
Yeah, well, that was how I edited this whole thing down. Like this album and last one are just collections of pieces that just sounded like the right ones. You know, it went through a process of self-editing where I kind of pared it down to the stuff that just had it. I'm also using Soma Enter on this. So like, I think it was going through a phaser pedal. So those little swells in the background and then the more rhythmic clicks are sounds I was making with the Enter.
You know, talking about being grateful for just kind of finding or stumbling into the right one, that's kind of a link back to, you know, my record from last week's show, and very different records, but kind of a similar starting point in terms of just playing around and finding something, some editing, and then even, you know, my weird way of using the 404 like a tape machine and like forcing myself to go through this whole process of, you know, playing a 5-minute section of guitar atmosphere or mapping out all my effects moves for a whole stem at once. Like, in a way, that's an attempt to kind of make sure that those moments are happening, you know, and setting up a process so that for it to feel good, I've got to find something, you know, and it's not just ticking the box. That's here's one way it kind of generalizes. That's an interesting challenge and opportunity in this era of just with all the digital tools and the undos and the infinite tracks and everything, and there's no one right answer, but like how do we make some choices in our processes to make sure we're giving space for weird stuff, you know, unexpected stuff to happen, and that we're in a place to capture it when it does. I think that's some of what's really interesting about this era of music making is there's so many opportunities for that, and so many opportunities to make different choices at different points in each of our processes and come up with different results and play around with process until you find something that works for you. Man, this is great. As this track kind of comes to its conclusion, I didn't expect it to kind of work its magic live on the pod, but it did. That's really cool. You really got something here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. I hope people get something out of it. It's at least you know. It'll change your perspective if you just kind of let it play and just try and follow it. This kind of music isn't for everybody, but it's not for nobody.
Yeah. Outstanding.
And it's fun to do this kind of stuff live too. Like these kinds of sets are some of my favorite live sets to play. Like you just kind of go up with maybe a rough outline of what you want to accomplish, but you're just kind of letting it fly. And usually that type of crowd shows up knowing exactly what they're going to get, and and they're usually along with you. You know, they're along for the ride with you, and you kind of just do your thing, and then 30 minutes later you look up and you're surprised that anybody's still paying attention, but people are usually into it.
Yeah, for sure. Earth Energies by Night Mode is available exclusively at nightmode.bandcamp.com. Drew, thanks for coming on. Super appreciate you.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
For sure. Listeners, we appreciate you too. I think that's it for this week on Dat Fury Radio. I don't know what's coming next, so it'll be a surprise to me too.
And me. As a listener. Long-time listener.
Probably. Maybe something will happen and we'll have to talk about it. You'll be back. I'll have you. We're verging into shop talk without a clean edit point, but probably need to have you back to finish off the Mr. Furious stuff at some point, like the list, the whole history thing. But we'll sort that out another time.
Yeah. Hey, I had an idea.
Okay.
For a future Night Mode record. Why don't
do you want it on the pod? Because I still don't have a good edit out.
Yeah, whatever. Sure.
Okay. Here we go.
You and me will do a beat tape, like a battle beat tape. I'll do some beats, you do some beats. We'll just alternate tracks.
Okay.
And we might have to just like dub cassettes and give them out for free, because a lot of my beats are are emerging out of copyrighted samples. Like I've got a bunch of stuff that started after I sampled The Sound of Music on vinyl.
Okay.
Like the Sound of Music soundtrack, and there's no way I can ever put that out on the internet.
Right.
But I don't want to like do nothing with it. So like, let's do an underground beat tape. Just
cool.
Just you and me, and then we'll just hand out copies.
I like it. I like doing something completely analog. Yeah, I'm down. Fun stuff on Dat Fury Radio.
Ideas.
Later, everybody.